So just bear with me a minute, sharing it on Facebook. Our recording there. Okay, here we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's start. Oh, got one more person joining. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining it. This is Alia, the love coach, and today we are going into the part 2 of building trust or trusting yourself. Let me just mute everybody. Okay, perfect. So I just want to recap a little bit about last time, what we did. We went through 21 different signs that we might have about as a sign of not trusting ourselves. We talked a little bit about what trust is about, like, you know, the definition that I use and the definition that we have in the dictionary. We went through a little bit of that. Okay. So today we are going to talk about two things. We are going to talk about what breaks your trust and what makes your trust. Now, as we are going to go through these things, I'm also going to start giving you the points, like what you can do. So today would be the day when we start building already. We start writing down, oh, this is what I need to do different. So as I'm going through it, look at it in your own life, if this is something that exists in your life and how you can start taking actions to change it. So I hope you all are ready. Got my water here. That's how I stay awake. Okay, let's dig in. So what breaks our trust? I have quite a few points over here, and I'm going to try my best to go through all of them. Letting others wrong us. And now think of it, even the minor level, when someone does something wrong to you and you don't speak up because your parents told you, you know, it's not a good thing to speak up, or they were like, oh, good girls, they don't speak up, and you are stuck in the good girl syndrome. We all have that within us, and at some point we have to break out of that and realize if someone is doing wrong to you, it's okay to speak up. It's okay to stand up for yourself. So that piece is about boundaries. So look at your own life. When someone does something wrong to you, do you tend to just stay quiet because you want to keep peace? Or do you go towards complete anger and you're like, you know, you're completely wrong, and you know that's what it should be? That's a reactive way of living. What we want to do, we want to come to a place where you can politely and in a compassionate way communicate with the other person and tell them how what they are doing is hurting you. So right now, think of any relationship. It could be with your coworkers, it could be with your boss, it could be with your own family, it could be with a friend. And if in those little things you are not speaking up for yourself, that is where the trust is breaking within you, because this is what's happening. In one of the sessions, we took a journey and met with our little version, the little girl that still lives within us. So that little girl is not gonna trust you anymore. She's like, someone did wrong to me and you didn't even speak up. Imagine if you're a mom and you have a 5-year-old kid, and that 5-year-old kid was getting slapped right and left in the playground, and you just stood there. The other mom was there too, the other kid was there too, and you just stood there and you're just like, it's okay, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna keep the peace, I'm not gonna say anything. How would your 5-year-old kid will feel about you? Like, how would she feel about you? She's gonna hate you. She's not gonna trust you anymore. Next time she'll be like, I'm not going to the park with mommy. She doesn't even have the guts to say anything when someone hurts me. I'd rather go with daddy. That exact same thing is happening within you. You can give yourself as much justification as you want. Oh, I'm the peacekeeper, I'm the good person. A lot of women who come from a religious background, they are taught, God will he would bless you more if you will just stay quiet and not say anything. The thing is, you go to any religion, if they believe in a God or in any higher source, that higher source never wants you to suffer. It's people who have cooked up in a way where they can manipulate you. And if we don't take the time and open up our mind to understand that, we just keep suffering. I'm spending a little bit more time on it because this is like, embedded in women of all culture at this point. It's not just women of, like, certain culture or something. It's all the women. We have hard time saying no because we were told, or like, speaking up for ourselves, because we were told if you speak up, you're not a good person. But that's not true. That's not true. You can be a wonderful person, and when someone steps on your toes, you can just tell them politely, hey, you're stepping on my toe. Would you mind backing off? It's that simple. It's that simple, instead of letting the other person, like, squish your toe and then you have a bruised toe. So when you speak up for yourself, oh man, you get so much trust within yourself. And whatever I'm teaching, by the way, whatever I'm teaching, I have practiced myself these steps. And I can tell you, it changes a lot within you. When you speak up for what you want, you do feel this power within you, and that is the self-trust. So you're gonna move to the next one, which is similar to this one, putting up. When we are putting up with something, sometimes we are even putting up with our kids who are not behaving good. And we're just like, oh, they are kids. It happens, especially if they're teenagers, because we are afraid that, they are not going to follow what we are asking, or we are just afraid they might get rebellious. In that fear, we never step up as authority. And this is something I started at a very young age with my son too. Like, mommy have very clear boundaries that, he knows from now on he cannot cross. So I'm starting from that very close relationship for kids. And we are gonna go outward, because with kids we're just like, oh, they're kids, they do this, they do that, it's okay, I'm just gonna put up with it because I'm the mom, who else is gonna do it? In that process, you're losing trust with yourself, even if it's your own child, because there's a child within you. What about her? Who's gonna take care of her? One of the framework that I use with my client is that they end up adopting their 5-year-old as their first child. So if they have 4 kids, I tell them, now you have 5 kids, and your 5-year-old version is your firstborn. So that's how you're going to treat yourself from now on. You can take that framework. If that makes a big difference for you, I highly, highly recommend that. Now, for those people who don't have kids, even like, if with your spouse, we put up with so many things. And when I'm saying putting up, it's again just staying quiet, never communicating, because staying quiet is so much easier than communicating. So what you need to do, if that's you, build the skill of communication. Once you build the skill of compassionate communication, you are not going to be afraid to speak your truth. A very quick tip: always connect with your heart, put your hand on your heart, rehearse what you're going to say. And when you get to the moment, say it. If you have to read it from a page, do that. You will just get into a habit of speaking what you really want to say. When you put your hand on your heart and your heart gets expanded, you're able to say with so much ease. And your critical mind is just gonna relax a little bit, because fear comes from this area of our brain. When our heart opens, that part of the brain just completely shuts off, and we can use the possibilities of life. The next one, the third one, is also connected with it. That is not saying no. So when someone invites you, you don't want to meet that person, but you cannot say no. So you make one excuse. They invite you again, you make another excuse. In that moment, you're losing trust with yourself. And I have done that in the past. And now if I don't want to meet with someone, I just tell them, listen, I am really busy right now. How about I check with you in 2 months? And in 2 months, if they remember, they can reach out to me. If they don't remember, I don't bother them either. If, after 2 months, they reach out, they're like, okay, how's your schedule now? If at that time I feel like I'm ready, we meet. If I'm not, I can again tell them I am keeping to myself. And that's how I've been for the past year. I have told so many people I cannot meet right now. And, they're okay with it. People love authenticity. When we are being authentic, the other person just loves it, because we all are craving for it. That's what we really want. You become authentic in your relationships, and you start speaking from your heart, not out of your anger, not out of your frustration, not out of your sadness or depression. You start speaking from your heart, you're never gonna have problem in any relationship. I mean, if I can have such a wonderful relationship with my ex-husband and his girlfriend, I'm sure you guys can create a wonderful relationship with your own family. It all about coming from your heart. Coming from your heart and feeling yourself and saying no if you're not comfortable. This is going to build trust within you. If this is something you're doing right now, it's chipping away on your trust with yourself. Once you replace it, you start to say like, I'm not feeling okay with this, or I have a lot to do at home. You tell them what's really going on. Not come up with white lies. Tell them what's really going on, and you will make such a big difference for yourself. Okay, the next one, not trusting others. So this one is like, the chicken or the egg. Someone hurted you. Now it's very hard for you to trust others, because one person has hurted you. Whenever someone goes through breakup, that's the first thing they say. Oh, it's very hard for me to trust people now. When a friend betrays you, the same thing we say. It's very hard for me to trust people, because people betray and this and that. We have a story to play. But when we stop trusting others, we stop trusting ourselves. Isn't that like egg and a chicken? Which one came first? So why it's affecting your trust with yourself? Because you are not trusting yourself. So let's say if I say I don't trust people, and that was my concern when I went to my therapist for the first time, and she told me, you'll be fine, you're gonna trust people, you just need to work on healing yourself, which is so true. If I say I don't trust that friend, right, that internally means I do not trust in my ability to create boundaries with that person, to be able to say no to that person. So I am afraid that that person is going to hurt me, because I am not going to create that boundaries, or I'm going to become so emotionally dependent on them I am not going to nurture myself, that's how we get hurt. When we are completely leaning on other person, we are not nurturing ourselves. When we are nurturing ourselves and someone does something wrong to us, yeah, it's a blow in your face, but it's not going to completely derail you that you're right on the floor, you're hitting rock bottom. If you have a very solid ground with yourself in terms of trusting yourself, no one can knock you down. Yeah, they might, just shake you a little bit, but then you'll be like, oh, got it. Okay, one gone. Next. Who's next in the person, like, in your surrounding, who you can trust and connect and bond with. So that's how it changes. When we start trusting ourselves, it becomes so much easier to trust other people. And again, this one, I have gone from not being able to trust anyone to now being able to trust people. And sometimes it's mind-blowing. Like just today, I had a reflective moment. Oh my God, how wonderful a human being is. If we work on self, if we work on putting ourselves back together, we are whole. We are whole just by ourselves. All we have to do is become aware of that. So that is what these steps are going to do for you. If you find it hard trusting others, if that's where you are right now, ask yourself, what is it that I'm afraid of? Am I afraid of getting hurt? Am I afraid of getting betrayed again? Most likely those would be your fears. Are you afraid of yourself, or are you afraid of that person? Now that's where you have to become really honest. So many times we are afraid, like I'll be afraid that I'm not going to keep my words with myself. Yeah, right now I'm in a trust class and I'm like, okay, yes, I'm going to speak my truth. But you guys know yourself better than anyone. I know myself better than anyone in the whole universe. And I know when I am put in a certain situation and when the other person is like this, most likely I'm just not gonna say anything and I'm just gonna keep quiet and keep hurting myself. So that is the part where you say, I don't trust other person, but internally you're saying, I don't trust myself to hold standard in that relationship. If you already have certain relationship values, and if you enter into any relationship with those values, there would be definitely trust, because you have defined who you want to interact with, and what is the bar, what is your standard. If the other person doesn't match standard, you shouldn't even be in that relationship. If you are, that means you're just creating a self-sabotage strategy right there. You don't want to trust yourself, and you're creating situations around you where you can say, see, I cannot trust other people because they are X, Y, and Z. So you see how when there is no trust within us, we create that outside of us so we can blame someone. People are bad and I cannot trust them. Now for those single ladies, well, I'm single too technically right now. So many times I have heard, especially those who have not been married before, they would say like, oh, men are not trustworthy and this and that. Just remember, you're creating that. Once you start trusting yourself, very soon you're going to meet a man who trusts himself. And you're not going to meet a man who doesn't trust himself. If you're still meeting men who are not trusting themselves, whatever happens around us is just a mirror image of us. Life is showing you this is where you are. Go work on yourself a little bit more. Let's say if you're dating right now and tomorrow you go on a date and the man is where you can tell he doesn't really trust himself, and the bar is not very high for him in terms of his own relationship values. Now you'll be able to see it only if you have worked within you to define those values. So when you do the inner work for yourself, you can see it in other people. And when you be able to see it, that's a sign for you. Don't go on a second date. So that's how you can use these tools to set standards from now on. And also don't be afraid that if you kept waiting, you won't meet the one. Just work on yourself and you will see how that person is just going to enter in your life all by themselves when you're ready. uh, right now life is giving you chance to work on yourself, so do that. Okay, gonna move to the next one. This is a big one. When your needs are unmet emotionally. No, some of us have no idea what does it mean to have your needs met emotionally, because when we were little, um, maybe mom was too busy. The mom role was to just keep the house, and dad role was to just be the breadwinner. A lot of us, we have come from that kind of generation where that was the role. Now things are changing, like how we are parenting our kids is changing, but the generation we are coming from, it was just like, what emotional needs, what are emotional needs? So a lot of us have not even learned what emotional needs are. That's when you feel heard, seen, validated. When you feel like I matter. If I cry, someone is going to come soothe me. Someone is going to ask me, what is wrong with you? Someone is going to sit there and help me sort through that. Growing up, if that's how your parents were dealing with you, and you weren't just hiding in the bathroom crying all by yourself because you didn't want to disturb the peace of the house, or there was so much chaos going on already, you did not want to add to it, and you were just keeping your emotions bundled up within you, that means your emotional needs were not met. So let's say if the adult version of you, when we get married, we are seeking that kind of validation from our spouse. And men generally are are wired a little different. They don't understand how to nurture a woman's emotional needs. So a lot of marriages, they get into trouble because of that. But the truth of the matter is, if you're here right now, if that is the age that you can be here right now, you have to meet those emotional needs yourself. You have to sit with your emotions instead of avoiding them. How we avoid them? We go for food, we go for binge watching, we go for Facebook scrolling, Instagram scrolling, Pinterest, we go for shopping. We call a friend and we just talk like for hours, very unproductive talking. Or sometime we just get so busy with other people's business. So any distraction that you can think of, if that is your way of coping, or if your way of coping is chocolate, that is included too, that's not healthy. That's running away from your emotions. That is hiding from your emotions. If that's what you're doing, your trust within you, with yourself, is breaking. It's just getting further and further and further and further. But the most magical thing is, all you have to do is sit down with yourself once, and this trust just comes back. And that little girl within you is like, if I will cry, she'll pay attention. Like when you're crying, sitting there crying, ask yourself, how are you doing? Is there anything I can do for you? Talk to yourself as it's another person. If it's your friend that you're trying to console, when you talk to yourself like that, as if it's another person that you're trying to console, you're going to start feeling a sense of strength in your whole body, and it feels very different. And if you have felt it, you know what I mean. If you have not felt it, then that's the experiment I will suggest you next time when any emotions come through you. Now we get very scared of emotions. We're like, oh, emotions, I'm very emotional, I'm a drama queen. What is that? That is just energy that's trying to move through your body. It's your soul's way of telling you that you are off of your center. If you're sad, that means there's something you need to look at. If you're angry, something you need to look at. Emotions are just a guide from our soul. Something inside of you that's invisible is saying, hello, pay attention. So whenever an emotion is moving through you, no matter which emotion it is, even if you're happy, if you're very, you know, joyful and joyous tomorrow morning, just acknowledge that. Oh my God, I am so happy. That is wonderful. what happened that's making me so happy? So you can do that again. Maybe the night before you got 8 hours of sleep. Maybe you made sure you had a very good breakfast. Whenever we take care of ourselves, we nurture ourselves, we feel very good. So right here, one change you need to make is start acknowledging yourself emotionally. And if around your period, your mood goes down like this, then no, keep placing your schedule. We all know roughly when our period is coming, keep space in your schedule that I'm going to give myself a couple of days off. If you're working, try to use a day off for that day. If you're working from home, try to keep a lighter schedule. If you are not working at all and you're just doing all the housework, just give yourself complete day off that day. Acknowledge that your body is going through something so magical and wonderful. It's like, our whole system flips and then it flips again. And we just want to go about our day. We are not acknowledging what is happening in my body. I started doing this from April when I get my period. And, all that came by learning all that I have been learning. I realized I wasn't even considering my period day. So now when it's here, I try to empty my schedule as much as I can, and I stay away from cooking. I just give myself really good rest, and I just keep feeling very good within me. There's more and more trust building. Who knew, like, something little like that, taking care of yourself to that level can give you that trust within you. Sometimes we want others to take care of us, and we just keep waiting and we keep waiting, and others don't take care of us. And that's when we start losing this trust within ourselves. If you are saying yes to taking care of yourself emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, you won't have to worry about anyone disappointing you because you're depending on yourself. Even if you have someone who's taking care of yourself in all those areas, still give to yourself. Still give it to yourself, and you will see you will have this rock solid relationship with yourself that is based on trusting yourself. Then I know that I got my back. I know that I would be fine no matter what happens around me. Okay, moving along. Another thing that breaks our trust is when we feel like our power has been taken away. Now, it can happen when we feel extremely angry. Someone has done something to us that we feel like, oh, this person did this to me, and we are so angry. Again, it could be anybody around you. It could be very close relationship. It could be a very distant relationship. And when we go into despair, now what is despair? Despair is when we feel so hopeless. When we have gone so down that we feel like, oh, there's no way out for me. Everything is too dark. If you go there, I used to go there. I know that place very, very well. I pulled myself out of that darkness of despair. It feels bad to be there, but at the same time, it feels comforting to be there. So remember this, misery loves company. It's your choice not to hang out with misery. So if you feel this miserable feeling within you and you stay there and you entertain it or you play with it, then become aware of it that you have a choice to break away from it. You can choose to play with something else or someone else beside misery. Misery is always very attractive. For whatever reason, it's always going to pull you. But what we are going to share in the next session, the next section of this talk, you're going to be able to find some other friends that you can play with. Now, this one, I'm gonna take it back to childhood. So a lot of women, they go through physical abuse, sexual abuse. So that is when your power is taken away. That is the feeling and the message your body gets. If any of you have experienced that, it's very, very common. Pretty much 7 out of 10 women, at least I have talked to, they have experienced some kind of abuse in childhood. It takes away your trust. It takes away your trust. If that is something that has happened to you, definitely you need to build trust within yourself, because that incident just breaks it. Because in that moment, like, last time we talked about, one of the things is when something happened in the childhood and we blame ourselves, because that blame is so deep down within us, there's a part of us that still thinks, no, I could have avoided it. But in that moment, you were so little, you were scared. You had no idea what to do. And sometimes it comes from, people we trust. So then the trust is non-existent. But we don't, like, no one pinpoints it to us, so we don't even acknowledge it, because we are human beings. We are one of the most powerful creation ever created. We can still be very, very successful in life, but deep down within us, there's like something that nibbles at us when we are not trusting ourselves. So if you have something like that happen, even though you're successful, but there's something nibbling at you, then that's this trust that is required to rebuild within yourself. And then fear and anger. So when you get fearful, when you get angry, so it's like in terms of you are getting angry at someone, you are becoming fearful from something. So fear, very quickly, every fear has a lie in it. When you catch the lie, you ask yourself, what is the truth in it? So if you are falling for fear, that means you're not falling for truth. If you're not following truth, you don't trust yourself. When I don't trust myself, I'm going to run after lie instead of going after truth, because that's just where I am being right now in my own way of thinking and looking at things. When we embrace truth, we only embrace it because we trust ourselves that, yeah, I can hold it. Because when we are holding on to truth, we have to let go of all the crazy stories we are cooking up within our head. When we keep holding on to the lie, we also get to be friends with all the stories, the misery stories, everything that we have cooked up in our mind. We get to keep them. So when you build trust within yourself, that's when you let go of these fear and whatnot, and you hold on to the truth. So if you're somebody who gets very afraid of everything, or you get very angry, I used to be in the angry crowd. Thank God it's been two plus weeks. It's been 2+ weeks, not even one episode of anger. When I say anger, like, I'm not even raising my voice, and I'm just loving it. I'm like, all the work has been paid off. So if that is something you are going through, then you need to resolve that anger. Anger usually comes from self-neglect. That's what I have discovered. I'm not sure if that will be true for you, but that's what I have discovered. When we are neglecting ourselves in some area in life, then that's when we get angry. But when we get angry, we are blaming on someone else, like, you did this, you did that. But deep down, we are neglecting ourselves. That's why we are getting angry. Okay, so another way, when only 2 more left, and then we are jumping to the other ones. When we are not seen or heard, or we don't feel important, we feel dismissed, we feel ignored. Now, this part, not a lot of people in their adult life is dealing with, but a lot of us have dealt with in our childhood. If you were just, maybe like, the one kid in the family, maybe the middle child that, no one paid attention to, or you kind of didn't matter. I know I have seen that in family, like, one kid doesn't even, no one even care about that child because of the skin color, because of their grades, because of whatever reason. Maybe they're too fat, they're too skinny. Parents find all kind of wonderful reasons to ignore their kids. Hopefully, none of us is from that category. If that is something that has happened to you in the childhood, that is also a sign that you need to build trust within yourself. But if it's happening right now, I have seen some spouses doing this to each other, or one doing it to other, where they give silent treatment. They act like the other person is completely invisible, or if they open their mouth, they only have bad things to say. I don't like to use a lot of labels, but let's just say it's a very unhealthy situation emotionally. So whoever is at the receiving end, whether it's the man or a woman, their trust within themselves is getting broken, because it goes back to where we are letting others wrong us. So those are all the things that break our trust. I'm going to quickly move to the things that make our trust. And let's see if we already have those within us. If not, then we are going to do the work to build them. And I'll give you quick tips, just like I did on the other ones. Okay, the first one, keeping words. When you say you're going to do something and you do it. Now, that is something I'm still building. It's like, 90% there, 90% I'm there, 10% is still at work. That is something we all have been in the boat where we say, oh, yeah, today I'll go to the gym, and then never happens. Yeah, today I'm going to start eating healthy, never happens. Yeah, today I'll go and do this or do that or this and that, and then life happens and then stuff happens. That little thing breaks your trust within yourself. It literally, like, how like termites, they're very tiny, very, very tiny, but you bring a lot of them, they can kill a whole tree, they can eat a whole house. That's exactly how this little thing can really eat up the whole foundation of trust within ourselves. So then you're like, okay, what do I do? First, become aware of it, because sometimes you're not even aware of it. Do I keep my words when I say I'm gonna do something? If you're like, okay, no, I don't do that, then start forgiving yourself for that. And every day start a new page. That's what I do. That is the advice of my coach. Every day, the first thing you tell yourself, I forgive you from anything you didn't do yesterday. So we are not going into guilt. We are not beating ourselves up on it. Leave yesterday in yesterday, because today is in front of you. So let's say yesterday you were supposed to go to the gym or start eating healthy. You didn't do it. Forgive yourself. Let it go 100%. Don't tell yourself, if I would have gone yesterday or the last Monday, as I said, I would have lost this many pounds by now. Don't play that game within your mind. Start from today. Every day, start brand new. Every day, forgive yourself from yesterday and say, okay, what am I going to do today? Now, here I'm going to give you another tip. Sometime when we are waking up and we are just like, I'm just going to develop myself and I'm just going to become this, powerful, power unleashed, successful person. I'm going to prove to my family, to the world that I got this, I can do it. We put a giant, massive goal. And then we put that goal there. And then for 3 days, it's really good. After 3 days, it's like you just hide the journal somewhere so you don't even see it. That is the recipe for failure. That is the recipe to take away all the trust from yourself. When you're building this skill, keeping words, you're gonna go like baby step and half of the baby step. So something as small as when you wake up in the morning, we all have our own rituals, what we do. Don't get out of, do all that. Don't get out of bed without saying thank you or without saying I love you, saying I love you to yourself. That little. If you can keep that for 90 days, then put something on top of it. Here, the quality matters, the quantity doesn't matter. If you can do one thing for 90 days straight, your trust in yourself is gonna go off the charts. So pick something very, very, very small. It could be as small as like, every night I'm gonna make sure I brush my teeth. But then there are those days when you're too tired and you fall asleep on the couch. So pick something that you can really, really, really do. Like, it's so easy that, you cannot miss it. Do that for 90 days very patiently. Don't add more things to it. And once you have done it for 90 days straight, if you didn't do 90 days straight, start from day one. Let's say on day 70, you forgot to say yourself, I love you when you got out of bed, start from day one. Once you have that 90-day chunk, you have already healed a lot of trust within you. You have already matured it. So then you can start adding other things. Yeah, you can keep doing other things. You could be putting goals on your page every day that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But don't use that as, I'm building trust with this piece. It'd be like, okay, if I get to it today, okay. If not, I'll get to it tomorrow. But take some very tiny thing as a trust builder when it comes to keeping your words. The next one is taking actions. So if you have so many ideas, so many plans, and if you're not taking actions on them, you're losing trust with yourself. Whenever you take action, you take one step closer towards building your trust. So do this, take a piece of paper, write down all the different ideas about your life, about your future that you have, and then pick just one and see if you can do something about it. If that is something that you can take actions right now in today, but pick the easiest one, don't pick the hardest one. Pick something easy and just work with that. When you will start taking small actions every single day, the trust meter starts to go high. All these things, they feed into your trust. Okay, the next one is faith. Now, faith, I can talk about that, I think, for an hour itself. Faith is basically believing in something you have not seen yet. And the faith is not just in the higher power. Faith is in yourself. Faith is in other human being. Faith is in, in life itself. So faith is like trust in a way that this person is going to show up, but the trust could be broken. Faith is unbreakable. No matter what happens, faith cannot break. Let's say you trusted your coworker and then your coworker complained about you and got you fired. You trusted and they broke your trust. They broke your trust because that's who they are. You can trust someone again. But faith is something that cannot be broken. It is so, so, so solid. The more faith you have in your own ability to create what you vision, the more trust you're going to feel in yourself. The more faith you have in a higher power, that whatever you're going to ask would be given. Now I'm talking about, it's not like every day you're asking for same thing every day and you've been asking it for the last 10 years. That's not what faith is. Faith is you ask with this conviction that you are going to receive it. If you wake up tomorrow and you have not received it, that doesn't mean you're not going to receive and you have to ask for it again. It's not like, oh, maybe my application didn't go through. Faith is you ask with this conviction that I said it once, I asked it once, I am definitely going to get it. Now, that kind of faith takes time to develop. For some people, it's even hard to look at faith that way. And then also, that requires trusting something you haven't seen, believing in something you haven't seen. That, yes, I will have it. Yes, I have the ability to create whatever I'm thinking about, I'm going to create. There's no doubt. So think of it like, we have this one pedestal. I'm going to use one of my stones. So this is the podium, right? On this podium, only one person can stand at a time. It could be faith, it could be fear, it could be courage, it could be trust. Only one can stand at a time. So if you're a person who's very fearful most of the time, who doubts, who worries, that means faith is not standing there. So you cannot say, oh, I have a lot of faith, but I fear a lot. So you see, like, how we don't even understand how these things work. If you're so fearful, faith is not matured yet. yeah, there is some amount of faith, but it's not so powerful that fear can't even come close to it. So when you have that powerful of a faith, automatically you have trust in yourself, in life, in higher power, in people. It takes care of everything. So faith and trust, they are interrelated in a way. When you work on building one, the other one automatically comes up. I'm gonna move forward with the next one, courage. Courage is, so faith is a God-given um, um, faculty of our soul. Faith, courage, and vision slash focus slash clarity. So faith, it already exists within us. It's a matter of connecting with it to that level. For example, let's say I have two hands. One fear is holding, and the other one doubt is holding. Right? You know, fear and doubt are holding my hand. So I'm not holding Faith's hand because I have only two hands. So I have to let go of faith, and then I can, the fear, and then I can hold on to the faith that's already within me. And then I let go of doubt and worry, and then I can put the other hand too. So now with both hands, I'm holding faith. That's already within us. It's a faculty of our soul. It's God-given um, thing that we all have. We just have to hold on to it and not to other things that look very attractive. Fear looks very attractive. So courage is also one of the faculties of our soul. It's within all of us. You don't have to go by it. You just have to let go of everything else and hold on to courage. When you are being courageous, your trust is going high, high, high. Now, it's not like you're going to buy and be courageous. You just decide and you do one thing. So, what would be something courageous you can do right now? For me, something courageous I'm doing every day is putting myself on social media in all different ways. That is how I am exercising my courage right now. And it feels wonderful. I'm trusting myself more and more every day. So, what are the different ways that you can be a little bit more courageous in your life? Now, that could be as little as just communicating with other people from a place of compassion and stop being afraid of hurting their feelings. Stepping into compassion, having the courage to step into it and speak your truth. It could be as small as that. Now, it might not be small for you if that's where you are right now. But once you start exercising it, you can pick something else. You can pick something else that would help you exercise your courage a little bit. Like, you know how new driver, if they just go take another round of the streets and whatnot, that gives them a little bit more courage, even though it's a very simple act. Especially now when we all are experienced driver, it feels so silly. Oh, just taking another extra lap used to give me more courage in my ability to drive. So it can be something very small. Another one is focus. Now, focus could be your vision, your clarity, how focused you can stay with something. Vision is also vision slash clarity and focus. They all come in one category. It's also another faculty of our soul. It's God given. If I ask you guys to close your eyes, we all can imagine something. We can all come up with a vision of our future. We can all come up, maybe, we cannot come up with our vision of future in one area. For example, for people who are not in a relationship yet, for them, it's hard to imagine how to be in a relationship, but they can come up with a vision in terms of their career. They can come up with the vision in terms of having kids. So we all can come up with a vision. We all can imagine. Do you guys know that we are the only one, human are the only one who have that? Animals don't have a vision. A squirrel doesn't wake up from a dream and say, I had a vision that my house is going to look like this, and then it goes and it builds it. It just lives wherever it was born. If it was inside a tree, it just lives there. So we have this power of vision. The more you use it, the more trust you're going to feel within you. So if you already have let's say, a vision of your future, like, this is exactly what I want to create in terms of your relationship, your finances, your health, and you start working towards that goal. Every day that you work towards it, your trust within yourself is going to keep going high. And trust, there's no limit to it. You can always keep filling that tank. The last two are discipline and commitment. Now, discipline comes from here. It's very, very mental. Commitment is very, very mental. What we can use to help is, again, one of the faculty of our soul, which is will. We can use our will more to create discipline and commitment. So what we are doing over here, meeting every Thursday. When I started this, I had so many things in my mind. What if I cannot commit to every Thursday? What if this happened? What if, like, my son is not feeling, they were like all kind of crazy stories. And I told myself, I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to say yes to it. And I'm going to take it week by week. Every Thursday, I'm going to exercise my will and I'm going to make it happen. Once I did that, once I kept moving forward, now that we are like, almost 6 months in, I feel so much trust within myself that yes, I can commit to something. Like for the longest time as a mom, I kept thinking, oh, I cannot really commit 100% to anything because with kids, there's always unseen emergencies that come up and whatnot. But with time, as I have exercised it every single Thursday, my trust is different. So you see how when we bring the will to say yes to something and we just keep building on it little by little, the discipline, the commitment to that, our trust starts to go high. At this point, I can commit to anything in my business and I will not hesitate because I know you exercising my will, I can show up. So I have already built that trust within myself. So in this area, I'm again going to say that if you already know that, commitment needs some work, discipline needs some work in your life, again, pick something this small, like really, really tiny. Maybe discipline to drink water every day, something very small. And every morning you can, fill up a jug or something that, today I'm going to drink this much water. For me, I go above a gallon. For you guys, if you want to stick to a gallon or 10 cups or 8 cups, whatever they have, you can stick to that. Or you can stick to something very small, like, I'm gonna maybe read half a page every day, if that's something. You don't have to do something massive. You don't have to do something big. You just have to do something small, very, very small. But with the intention, I am using this to build my discipline and my will to commit to something very, very small. And while that thing is going, you can do other things, but keep in mind, you're not holding those things accountable as your discipline builder, but you're using this tiny, tiny thing as your discipline builder. One thing that I started, that right before I go to bed, we all have rituals. I have created a discipline that I go on top of my head. These are all my worries. I just go like that and I'm like, God, they are all yours. I'm going to sleep. I do that every single night. And that is that every night when I do it, something, it takes less than a second, I think, to do it. But every night when I do it, I know that I'm building trust within myself that I can stick to something. And it's very easy. We all know when we are about to fall asleep. We all know when we are about to get in bed. And doing this small act has increased my trust within myself. So my friends, that is all. For those who are here, stay. We are going to get into the Q&A. If anyone is watching us on Facebook, please hop on to the Zoom if you have any question. Otherwise, I'm about to stop the live on Facebook. Okay, so live stream is gone. I'm also going to stop the recording.